I feel like having some rabbit tonight for dinner.
You guys ready to talk about this crazy movie?
Let's crush it.
Okay. Welcome to the Too Old or Pure Gold Movie Podcast. Today's episode is a special Easter episode, and we're discussing the 1987 erotic thriller, Fatal Attraction. The format of our podcast, two Gen Xers rewatch beloved movies from our youth to find out, are they really as good as we remember? To help us debate and ultimately pass judgment, we ask our millennial co-host to watch these movies for the first time and help us determine, are they too old or pure gold? I'm your host, Olen Vanderleeden, representing Gen X. Joining me today is my Gen X co-host, Matthew Stockton.
Hello.
Representing the millennials, we have the lovely Emily returning.
Hello.
And we have a special guest just dropped in, Clef Seeley.
Howdy.
We also have in studio our Gen Z correspondent and bunny rights activist, Nicole.
Hello.
Must have hated this one, Nicole.
And before we get into this episode, just a reminder that the only way we can grow this podcast is with support from our listeners. So remember to like, subscribe, comment, follow us on social media, and please recommend us to a friend to help us build our audience. Today's movie is a 1987 erotic thriller, Fatal Attraction, starring Michael Douglas, Glenn Close, and Anne Archer. The movie's directed by Adrian Lyne. Lyne is known for making stylish and provocative films, having done 9.5 Weeks before doing this movie, and Indecent Proposal after this one. Lyne also directed the fascinating Too Old or Pure Gold favorite, Jacob's Ladder. That episode hasn't aired yet, but that was a great episode and a really interesting movie, so check it out when it comes out. The tagline from the movie poster is, "On the other side of drinks, dinner, and a one-night stand lies a terrifying love story." Oof.
It was a two-night stand.
I'm always complaining these taglines are awful, but this one kind of proves me right.
But it wasn't really a terrifying love story.
Yeah, that's a little bit
It was a terrifying stalker story.
understatement.
So because this one is so bad, I wrote my own tagline. You guys want to hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
He thought his secret was safe until the rabbit died.
Oh, that's a much better tagline.
Next.
Matthew. Come on.
I mean, it would intrigue me. I'd be like, what's this about a rabbit?
Yeah, I'm
Then I'd be
intrigued.
disappointed when we got to that part.
I would be a little bit annoyed by how long it took the rabbit to be introduced.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah,
Olen-
it makes it sound like the rabbit's a key point.
You might have to rewrite that tagline. Do
Okay.
better next
Well, it's
time.
better than the one they wrote. That's all I was
really
going
liked
for.
it, Olen.
The bar was low.
Okay. Thank you.
You succeeded at the low bar.
As was the expectation.
Oh,
Oh, snap.
oh, this is the guy who showed up late. IMDb describes the movie as a married man's one-night stand comes back to haunt him when that lover begins to stalk him and his family. Okay, that's on point. And for those of you who have not seen the movie, I asked my 93-year-old dad to watch Fatal Attraction and tell us what it's about.
A successful New York lawyer, Dan Gallagher, has a work meeting with Alex Forrest, who is a sultry, seductive, but competent book editor. When his lovely wife, Beth, and daughter leave for a weekend visit with her parents, Dan and Alex continue their work over dinner. One thing leads to another and ends in a passionate one-night stand in Alex's lonely, sad apartment. Dan realizes that he should end the affair, and he so tells Alex. She then changes into erratic, disturbed behavior and an unstable pattern of aggressive pursuit and obsessive behavior. She even draws blood from her own wrists. From here on, things get worse and scary, and Alex even abducts the little girl. Shortly after, she breaks into the house and attacks Beth with a knife. Dan then tosses Alex into the bathtub, where she seemingly drowns, but she floats back to the surface and appears ready for more slashing, upon which Beth enters and shoots her with a revolver.
Okay, well, let's get overall reaction. What did you guys think of this movie?
I thought it was dumb.
I thought there were so many instances of just absolutely terrible, cliched writing. If I had put a script like that together during my first year of my creative writing degree at university, I would have been ripped to shreds.
I was intrigued. I hoped that he was going to die, but I thought it was dumb.
I'm conflicted on how I feel. I don't know. I've been trying to talk to all my friends. My best friend loves this movie. It's one of her favorite thrillers. And she hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I've been asking her, like, please tell me how you feel, because I don't know how I feel about this.
It's so interesting. Okay, the whole purpose of this podcast is to see, first of all, do these movies age well for us, but how do the millennials see them compared to us? I loved it. Like, I remembered this movie, but I didn't remember the details of the movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I'm like, wow, this is a wild trip.
I was bored for everything except the affair part. That, at least, I was like, something's happening. The rest of it, I was bored. But then I was like, but the acting's good, and like it's interesting, but I was bored. Like, I'm really conflicted on how I feel.
Matthew, am I the outlier here?
No, I love this movie, and it's a wild ride of steamy chaos. It's so fantastic. Glenn Close is unhinged brilliant. She is such a good actor. She's like a goddess of acting, and Michael Douglas is like sweaty regret personified. He was really good in this as well. I really like this thriller. I really do.
The acting is phenomenal, but the script is shit.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. There's iconic lines from this. So I think some of it came across maybe a little bit like overly dramatic, but it was hilarious. When it was overly dramatic,
it is like it is OTT, right? It's over the top. This movie is like it's coming at you from all angles, and you keep thinking, okay, you fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up. I really, really wanted him to die at the end of this.
Well, you know,
or his
Wow.
wife to leave him. She seemed like she was going to stay with him at the end. I didn't
Wow.
like that.
And I'm
You
sorry,
wanted
but that
him
was
to
not
die.
his first time cheating. There's no way in hell that was his
No
first
amount
time
of
cheating.
marriage counseling is going to get over that whole bathroom scene. You're not coming back from that.
Screw that.
Why do
Cheaters
people...
I'm on your page, Eric. Cheaters should die.
No, but they murdered the mistress in their tub together. You know,
That one was self-defense.
Yeah,
When he went to her own apartment and just like strangled her and then left, that was not self-defense. But when she tries to murder your wife in her own home, that one does count as self-defense.
Okay,
Clef. Wait, I have to say to Clef, nothing heals a broken marriage more than murdering together. Okay? Now, we all go through tough times, and when you do, if you murder someone together, it brings that relationship tighter. I'm just saying.
Okay, on the note
duly noted.
On the note of the strangling, though, one of my favorite pieces of foreshadowing in this, and trust me, like I said, I thought that the script was shit for the most part. The very first time they're having sex, almost the first thing that he does is he puts his hand on her throat. Did anyone else catch that?
No.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I saw it the very first time because I was like, oh, okay, good for them, not for me. But then later on, how that becomes his go-to move is he proceeds to do that over and over and over again. So it's linking sex with violence over and over again.
They do have good
That
sex
was
scenes.
good.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know if that's what she was saying. I think that's the opposite of what was being said.
That was unexpected. Eric, splashy dishes sex is disgusting.
Yeah, why'd she keep like cupping water and then putting it on his face? What was up with that?
Just go, what?
Okay, but
it wasn't.
Okay. Once again, if you go back to that very first sex scene and then you think about every single time they reach into water, like for me, the very first.
Yeah, the water was all for violence.
Yes, but then it's that same idea of like there's the water there's another time, and then at the very end of the bathtub. So it is that like consistent linking between sex and violence all throughout that. I thought that was interesting.
That was good. I did think about that with the water one. I didn't notice the choking one, but I noticed the water. Mostly because it stood out so much that the water was so weird in the sex scene.
Well, and you know, the violence in it was shocking, and it was done on purpose, right? It meant to shock us, but just, you know, how violent he was with her and rough with her was over the top, and you know, it's upsetting stuff to watch. But at the same time, it's not like it's pure fiction. This happens to people, right?
Oh, all the time.
But actually, the idea of taking someone's head and smashing it into a door or a glass pane like that, it just,
Yeah.
I mean, I like my violence, but that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was just quite let down by this movie because I didn't know what it was about, but I'd always wanted to see it. And it was described to me as evil woman, and that it, like, that was how it was described. Basically, it was like, evil woman, that's the movie. And then I watched it, I was like, she's not actually evil. She's just, like,
the wave of chaos.
mentally ill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She didn't do anything, like, she wasn't evil. She was just...
She boiled a rabbit and tried to kill them.
I'm sorry, but
She was sick. That's not evil.
but she's
Okay.
mentally ill, and she initiates the violence against her.
She is a force of nature in this movie. That's like the point that I was making in it. She's like depicted as like chaos, like incarnate. Like it's acting through her.
Evil is like confident you're doing it to be evil. She was doing it because she wanted him, because she was obsessed and sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
She wasn't evil, it was just sad.
Yeah, exactly.
she actually
Yeah.
did need a doctor. Like
Yeah.
she needed mental
Yes.
help.
Yes.
Like this was not a case of she was evil, and like I actually think that it's really like a gross portrayal, and I hate the fact that he's painted in such a
But that's the
sympathetic
thing, it
light
was
when it's just no. And here's the other thing that I will say is that
And here's another thing.
I'm sorry, I have a lot to say about this.
No, it's great.
Okay.
This is why I wanted you on this episode.
Well, and even
I'm-
the case of like, if you think about how Alex is this working woman, do they ever give a hint to what? Because Beth, she's a stay-at-home mom, right?
I think
Yeah.
so.
So
I think so.
even the fact, and if you think about the time period, with it being the late 80s, there was still that pressure for women to stay home. So you have the good stay-at-home like wife versus this evil working woman. And so it immediately puts that in there. And for her to be consistently, she's evil, she's the devil, she's the worst. No, he actually started the violence against her. I'm not saying what she did was okay, but he's a freaking psychopath.
Yeah, I have to say there's a lot of discussion in the reviews that I've captured about who actually is the evil person here.
Both of them.
He definitely got off too early. And back to the whole mental illness thing. I agree she's mentally ill, and murdering a mentally ill person is probably not the right thing to do. And for me, the pivotal moment was this: when she slit her wrists, call 911. Because two things would have happened. One is he would have made sure she didn't die. And I know she didn't die, but that's a low percentage move to bandage slit wrist yourself.
Oh.
Secondly, the hospital would have said, this woman is mentally ill, let's assess her.
Well, and when he says like,
That would have exposed the affair.
yeah, because you can
Right.
tell he doesn't care about her. He doesn't care about her health. He says, you're going to go to a
Yeah.
doctor, right? It's no, you take her to
He-
the doctor
he
yourself
cares-
at that
He
point.
cares about this coming back to him.
Well, and okay, but here's the thing. Like with the slit wrist, she obviously was doing it for attention. I mean, you had the reference to Madame Butterfly, 2 minutes earlier, and how he's saying like, oh yeah, when my dad first told me she was going to kill herself, and I think it was the only moment I was ever truly terrified. And where you're just like, okay, cool, you've got some dad issues going on there. And like now this is what's going to end up happening. And like you could kind of predict it the second she had her hands behind her back, like she's standing like, and it is that moment of like she splashes water on her face, so it's that introduction of violence yet again. Hands go behind her back. Quite frankly, I thought the slitting of the wrists was terribly predictable. And like if you're gonna do foreshadowing, do it way before.
Freaked me out though. It made me go, ugh.
Me too. That
Yeah.
gaping wrist, that
Yeah.
was actually...
Maybe
Yeah, it made me
feel
go,
icky
"Whoa."
seeing the wrist. It was gross. But
Made me go, ugh.
she in this movie, she's supposed to be bipolar. I'm like 99% sure it's supposed to be bipolar disorder, which this is just a disgusting portrayal of bipolar disorder. Yeah.
But it's a good portrayal of being
incredibly
possessed.
An incredibly small minority of bipolar people who are violent.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so gross to make it be like, oh, she's just like crazy and evil when she's just sick. And it's uncommon for someone to behave that violently.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to ask. First of all, because I think this is interesting, do we buy Glenn Close as sexy?
Yes.
Yeah?
But that's coming from a gay man.
Okay, so I'm going to spoil some of the trivia, is that nobody wanted Glenn Close for this role. They all said she cannot be sexy. This is ridiculous.
She's a phenomenal.
And so she worked hard to get this role. I'll tell you more about it later. And everybody said, I do not believe Glenn Close is sexy. So that's why I'm asking the question. I thought she came across as quite sexy, but kind of weird.
The acting, she was good at acting like she was sexy. I think she's one of the actresses that I think just gets more beautiful every year.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think she was super beautiful when she was young. Not more than, like, the average woman, because all women are beautiful. But I think she was just, like, not exceptionally beautiful in her youth, but she's just getting, like, more and more beautiful every year.
Yes.
Like, she's prettier now than before.
I agree.
I think beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? I think there's some people absolutely find her sexy and don't find somebody that's classically sexy, right?
Agreed.
Yeah, I think she's gorgeous. Absolutely.
I think that she has very like atypical features. Like, you don't see a lot of people who look like her, and that kind of makes her sort of interesting to look at and sexy. Yeah.
But I love the casting of her because, I mean, I was just looking up the ages of each of the people going into it. I mean, Michael Douglas, at the time of when this was released, he was 43. Anne Archer and Glenn Close were both 40. I actually love the fact that they didn't hit on this cliche of him going for a woman who's 20 years younger. That I also loved. Yeah. And I think that there is a certain power to that casting choice.
Yeah.
Because I honestly, for that time period, I totally would have expected them to go for someone who's at least 10, if not 20 years younger.
It was great casting because all the acting was phenomenal. And the acting is one of the only things that I liked that much about it. Like, the acting almost made me enjoy it, even though I didn't really.
Yeah, I think it's a great demonstration of really good acting, and I think really good. What is it? Directing? Is it cinematography? Like, the shots I thought were beautiful and effective as well.
Yeah, it's like very good cinematography, very good storytelling in that sense. But like, I agree that I thought the dialogue was, I felt like going into it, I didn't know a lot about it either, but I kind of pictured it as like 50 Shades of Grey adjacent, like this sort of erotic sort storyline, like everything very overt, Robbins and Hart.
Oh, that was the worst name, where it's just this such like robbing hearts. Like, it's
Robbins and Hart. Yeah,
better names, folks, better names.
Seems a little on the nose.
I don't know. I mean, the acting was brilliant, but that's kind of all that saved it, because I agree with Emily that the script wasn't great. Clearly the script wasn't great, because I didn't write down a single quote this whole movie, and it was a long movie, and I always write down quotes.
I won't be ignored, Dan.
I think people know that quote without knowing the movie. That's how famous that is.
Yeah, I'm not going to be ignored, Dan.
For flipping the lamp on and off, I knew that. I recognized that reference.
Well, but that was really interesting, because if you consider the use of color all throughout the script, where like her apartment is so starkly white, and you look at the colors that she's wearing, where it's white and then she wears black, like it's always black and white with her. So as a result, the flipping of the lampshade is really interesting. And then, yes, I'm going to talk about that. Don't worry. And And then you think about the use of
Pod fight.
when they're in the city or when they're in the country, how they have the color. And so it's almost like color represents hope in a lot of ways throughout the movie. And then with him, he's wearing gray a lot of the time. Every once in a while, you'll see more color being introduced. But even like with Glenn Close's apartment, it's more of a bright white, more of a cool white, versus when they use lighting around Beth, it tends to be a warmer white color where it brings out more yellowish tone. So it's very interesting that way, just considering the use of color all throughout to kind of really imply different motif.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but it's true.
Yeah, no, that's really, really interesting things.
You've got a good eye for detail, Emily.
Thanks, Nicole.
Very true.
So
I just go movie.
before we go back deep into this content, 1987 was the year of the rabbit. And
Probably bad luck to murder one then.
And this movie, I mean, it's 37 years old, has given rise to the common expression bunny boiler in the UK, used to describe an obsessive woman with respect to one-night stands.
Oh, gross.
Ew.
It's
Sorry,
true.
what was that?
It's true. It's used often.
Bunny boiler is a common expression in the UK, even today, to describe obsessive women.
That's...
Woker joke?
I just think about like the saying of just like, before you like call a woman crazy, think about what the man did to make her that way.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a great saying.
Yeah, I'm sure I just butchered it, but I stand by it. Like, come on.
I stand by it just hearing it there.
It can happen the other way around, though.
I agree. No, I
Well, it
totally.
could. But how often do you call men crazy?
Often.
Well, Matthew, you're an unusual man, and I love you for that.
I've met some crazy dudes.
but it is interesting to think about who did initiate this whole thing. Really?
You know, there's. Olen, can I share a piece of trivia that I know?
Yes.
Now, the original script had Glenn Close's character killing herself at the end. Mm-hmm. And I think if that had happened, in my mind, it would have shown the mental illness part more, like the tragicness of her issues more, right? And I think Glenn Clyde was reading, because I read a little bit. Glenn Close was like upset that they changed the ending because she thought it turned it from something that was great into kind of a slasher at the end.
Yeah. A lot of people are upset that they changed the ending. They did it because they did a test run of the movie and people reacted.
Course.
Yeah, people were uncomfortable with that ending, but I agree it would have been a better ending. That's why I asked everybody to watch the original ending, and they set it up beautifully. Not only did she kill herself, you're not very good with instructions, Matthew, but still, you're a talented man, so we're happy.
I go my own way.
That's an understatement. But they set it up nicely, because you remember in the conflict they had where he took the knife away from her, they made a big deal about showing him putting the knife down, and he got his prints on it. So not only did she kill herself in the original ending, but implicated him in murdering her, which I thought...
Smart.
Yeah, I thought that was a really clever ending, and it was a really disturbing scene the way they did it. You know, way better than shooting a pregnant woman in the stomach and, you know, the couple murdering together to heal their marriage.
She doesn't shoot her in the stomach. She shoots her in the chest.
Oh, was it the chest? So who here thinks she was actually pregnant?
No.
I don't think so.
The timeline
don't think so either.
Really match up very well. Like, from what I could gather, it didn't seem like enough time had passed for her to actually know based off of a test.
He said he talked to the gynecologist, though.
Did he get the right gynecologist, though, or was it just a random one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't make...
And the gynecologist just said congratulations, so who knows?
Right.
But I have to say, I never researched these movies because I'm not allowed to. But I did look up whether or not she was actually pregnant because I needed answers and I needed them immediately.
What did it say?
I need them right now. I need to know. I couldn't think about anything else until I found out. And it said that it was a bit of a mystery the way that they did it. But in the original ending that they changed, where she killed herself, that it was supposed to be implied that she was actually pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So she was supposed to be actually pregnant.
Interesting.
I like that.
Okay, one other thing I want to talk about here is the whole fact that I think that there was something wrong with Dan's marriage to start with, because, I mean, obviously, if you're happy, you shouldn't be stepping out like this. But he didn't just go bang some girl from the bar. What he did is he started a new relationship. He's calling her like babe and honey. He's spending the weekend. They're laughing in the park. He takes his dog over. If I'm cheating on my wife, I'm not taking Charlie. I do not want him to see
family dog.
Well, he'll snitch. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's a
That's
snitch.
good.
Charlie's a snitch.
You offer him a treat, and he's like, he's cheating.
What's the obsession with straight people with monogamy? Like absolute obsession. I don't understand it.
For me, I have any sort of an obsession with it, but for me, I think that whatever you feel comfortable with, there needs to be open and honest communication. And
Absolutely.
I think that's my bigger issue with it. Like for me, I don't think that I could ever be in a polyamorous relationship just because of how
I couldn't pronounce
I
it.
wouldn't trust my own reactions.
It sounds to me. It sounds logistically like a just.
Well, if I can build off what Emily said, I totally agree. And to me, it's about fairness. Like if I say it's only you, it's only you. If I say, hey, this is for fun, and I might throw in an extra crazy lady now and then.
Ooh. Look at Nicole looking at you.
You know.
No, it's about on
Then
it.
you got to think about the sample pool, right? Like then you got to think about then you got to think about like there's dynamics to all of this stuff, I think.
Well, okay, and I didn't get the sense that was the first time he's cheated, just based off of how he reacted through it.
No, absolutely not.
It was not the first time. Like he was so laissez-faire, and then for it to turn into this like whole weekend thing, that wasn't like a one-time thing where he felt guilty. You got no sense that he was really feeling all that bad about it until she started.
But he was probing around with this whole like, is this going to be something that I can get away with? Is this going to be like, achievable?
Guys, from the get-go, as soon as he left the office and his umbrella wouldn't work, and then they ran off to the bar, they were holding hands.
Yeah.
I have never held hands with somebody that I just met.
Yeah. No. No. And that was
Olen, you and I've held hands.
I know, but I've known you a long time. And I know how soft your hands are.
I forgot what I was going to say because of that comment. It just knocked it out of me.
Whatever it was, it wasn't better than that.
I think that whoever was like, I don't know whether they deliberately wrote the character this way or whether it was something where it was the writer himself. But there's a serious Madonna whore complex that happens within that movie that I just could not let go of. And that's more what I got the sense of, is that he's viewing his wife as like this very pure thing. And as a result, like, even if you take a look at all the physical intimacy between them, it's clearly there.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get the sense that there's no physical intimacy anymore. Like, but
she looks happy and,
Yeah, but at the same time, so you've got the physical and the emotional intimacy, but it is that whole Madonna aspect of it versus Glenn Close's character of Alex, where it is that whore part of the Madonna whore. And I think that whether they wrote that in for Michael Douglas's character of Dan, or whether it's the writer himself who has some things that he needs to work through, there's a very clear Madonna whole complex that happens.
No, it was the 80s. So many films, and it came out of society as well, right? It's like so many films where it was the women were, it was black or white, like you're one thing or the other in a movie, right? And that's why like more contemporary movies where there's like much more layered female characters, right? But yeah, so many movies are like that. They're either just props for the movie, or it was like, virginal or sex worker,
I've remembered my point that I was going to make for Emily saying that there's no way it's the first time he's cheated. I also believe that because his secretary was not surprised at all when some other woman showed up to his office. I mean, it was like
the secretary always knows.
everything he did that pointed to cheating, the secretary was just like, I guess that's just him.
Oh,
Classic
Dan.
Dan. Just another Friday night at the office, am I right, boss?
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, it's kind of like, well, he's going to think twice next time, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he really will.
Next time, he'll choose his affair partner better.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't put it past him cheating again. I think that he just might get to know a woman a little bit better to try and identify the crazy first.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's just going to pick a better affair partner.
One small note I had here is I thought everybody was pretty loose with the death threats in this movie. Because Dan said to Alex, like, if you tell my wife, I'll kill you. And the wife, when she talked to Alex on the phone, she said, come near my family, I'll kill you. Like,
Wow,
loose with the death
bad
threats.
writing.
Bad writing. It's all over the phone as well. So,
yeah.
No, his death threat was in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in person.
I think he made more than one. So maybe he also phone
he also did go try and kill her, so...
But he didn't follow through with his promise.
That's true, but he did try to.
So
rude to not follow
and then
through
he
on your
stopped choking
promises.
her, and it was kind of like because he couldn't get away with it.
One character I really liked, and this is a smaller character, was the cop character. And if we disliked Dan, the cop was really, like, well, you made your bed, lay in it, and he's playing that stupid game where he's like, I had a friend who went out with this girl. He's like, it's you, idiot. And you're such an idiot for cheating on your wife. Like that, I like that character. That was his conscience in the film.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. Thought of it.
The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm agreeing with Emily that I hated how much he was painted in a sympathetic light. Because they really were like, oh, he just wants to be at home with his family.
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't he deserve to be with his family?
It was just a lapse in judgment. He was just led. He was just following his primal urges.
It was just a 48-hour lapse in judgment.
Yeah. I really didn't like the way that his wife seemed to not get over it, but be like, all right, we'll move on. Like,
yeah, she's devastated.
Well, she blames the woman.
She loses like the light in her face after she finds out about it.
And then she blames she blames him initially, but at the end of it, it's kind of just like, well, the woman who was the problem in this, she's gone. So now my husband, he'll be faithful to me because the woman's gone.
I gotta say, like, the boiled bunny, that really bummed me out, man. That, like, really made me, like...
Yeah, you're right. It did bum me
really
out.
bummed me out. And then it cut to, like, and then the kid was screaming, and then the kid was just crying in bed.
That was devastating.
I got some trivia for you on that. But on that note, before I give you the trivia, Matthew, can you tell everybody why you picked this as an Easter episode?
It's just to be provocative.
Yeah, well, you did that.
Classic Matthew.
I don't know why this was Easter.
That's
and,
dope.
oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
There you go. Thank you, Matthew.
Oh my God.
Okay. I want to move on and talk about the best parts, but I'm going to do something new here because I got a gut feeling Nicole and I have the same favorite part for this movie. So we're going to say it on 3, okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Quincy.
I second note on here. My very first one was Ann Archer because I didn't know who she was. The second one, dog looks like Charlie. Quincy.
Yeah.
I literally, as we were watching the movie and after we finished the movie, we were both kind of looking at each other like, we got nothing for this. And then I read to Dad my notes and I said, good. Quincy. Bad. Abandoning Quincy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't fucking feed his dog for a...
He left him alone for 24 hours with no food and no bathroom breaks.
Like, that dog's bladder must be bursting. That is so cruel.
That dog was such a good boy. You know he was devastated to have to pee inside.
And then at the end, when he gave him the fucking spaghetti, I was like, okay, great. So the dog's gonna forgive you now. Good.
And he's going to have an upset tummy because you're giving him a whole plate of spaghetti.
Fucking prick.
Yeah, it's too bad Anthony's not on this episode because he's our dog critic, and I think he would have liked Quincy.
Yeah.
Oh, Quincy was the best. You saw that sweet face? He's the sweetest little man.
Okay, one thing I will say is he did not do his dog job very well at the end there, though. Like, for me, I was looking, and if that was Toby and there was an intruder in our house, Toby would be right in the mix. He would be fucking shit up.
Yeah.
But that's a lab thing, because Charlie, if an intruder broke in, he'd be like, "Hi, new friend. Do you want to hang out with me? We're besties now. Do you have any treats in your pockets?"
Yeah, that's true. But we have 2 chihuahuas that would murder anybody. So.
Oh, Chaz would do his dog duty. But Charlie, nah, Charlie'd be like, "Do you want to hang out? Like, maybe you could pet me."
Oh,
Okay.
he was such a good actor.
I only had one other best part. I said the Bedford house. And by the way, you can rent it today for $18,000 a month.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Family vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like that house. You guys have any best parts you want to call out?
Oh, I actually really loved the camera work when all 3 of them were in the same room together. I know it wasn't necessarily like an acting or a script thing, but just how the camera played around with it, where they would have it be stationary, they would play around with different depths, and then on one person at a time, they would actually be like moving the camera in and out for depth. And just the dizzying effect that it actually really naturally created, it kind of allows you to get in Dan's head a little bit in terms of the dizzying, like what he would be feeling. I thought the camera work in that moment, that was brilliant.
A lot of good camera work.
That was my favorite bit of camera work.
By the way, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Dan wasn't good at his job.
No.
He really seems distracted by everything else, and he showed up for a trial like late and said like, "Oh, I'm really screwed because I didn't do any of the prep work. I guess I'll just wing it."
Yeah.
That's not a lawyer I want.
No.
No. I like the bunny boil scene because it's like it's iconic.
Happy Easter, listeners.
And I liked Puccini's Madame Butterfly played through and in sort of places that built tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew you'd like that.
It felt like too obvious, though. Because the way that they were just playing that the whole time is like, well, I guess I know what's happening. They told us what was going to happen at the beginning.
Yeah, it was dull. Cliche.
It was so slow and boring. Like, the whole middle hour and a half, I was like, okay, is anything going to happen?
You know what I enjoyed about it? Is I really enjoyed the depiction of life in New York. Other than the, sex with strangers part. But I thought the apartment was nice. Just that New York seemed like a great setting in the 80s.
New York is essentially quite often used as a character in and of itself in a lot of movies and TV shows, and I thought this was no exception.
The apartment outside the open meat pork market.
Well, I mean, but that's like...
That was unhygienic.
Yeah.
No, but that made a lot of sense too, where it's like... Where the idea of a meat market and the idea of her being a piece of meat essentially in this, like her being located in the meat market, that is, yeah.
He was looking for some transactional hot super sex, action.
Because they made a quote. There's a quote right near the beginning, and it's really quick, but it's like something about like buying a body or how far can you push a body, but there's something where it is that idea of transactional. And like with the body being something that is more transactional. Oh, I wish I had paid a bit more attention to that now. But it was at the restaurant right near the beginning.
And so regarding the meat packing district, I
can't imagine where this is going.
There was a gay bar. There was a gay bar called Meat there, MEAT. In the late 80s, New York was fantastic. Meat's packing district was still literally had that, but clubs and stuff now New York's just ugh.
I'm gonna bring back the bunny because it's Easter. It was also so obvious what was gonna happen to the bunny from the second they showed it.
Yeah.
Like the second the bunny was on his desk when he first got it, I was like, "Okay, when she's gonna murder that bunny? Like, when's it gonna happen?"
Where did she get acid for destroying his car? By the way, that's I don't think that's easy to buy.
In the 80s, it probably was. You could buy anything in the 80s.
Okay, let's get on to worst parts. And the first thing I have is Bedford Elementary's pickup process for children.
Yep. Yep, we were
I think that was bad. I think they need to step it up.
big letdown. Yep.
Well, and where everyone's just like, we thought you picked her up already. They didn't look that similar.
Not at all.
Like,
Not at all.
they had moved there fairly recently, but they had lived there long enough where apparently she knew that Ellen's friend was named Alicia. So, they have to have been there for a little bit.
Maybe a month or so.
Didn't they clue in when she didn't call the lady mommy? She called her, "Who are you?"
Yeah, exactly. Like, who was that strange woman who came and picked up their kid?
Okay.
Also, why on earth did Glenn Close take her to a theme park? And what theme park is there that only one other person's on the roller coaster? Because I want to go
To
there.
make her feel better.
That looked like Coney Island. Wouldn't that have been Coney Island?
Yeah.
So it's that idea of taking her out of the country and taking her back to the city, and that idea of trying to insert herself into Dan's life where she then replaces Beth. And I mean, that comes back to even at the very end,
To make it
where
up.
you consider her turning to Beth and saying, "What are you doing here?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's trying to take Beth's place in Dan's
Right.
life.
She's trying to, like, entwine herself. She's, like, growing in like a weed.
Oh, and even if you think about how she takes her on the roller coaster, and then the editing, it's cutting that right away with Beth and how she's reacting. So it is that idea of going on a roller coaster, going on an emotional roller coaster all throughout.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I thought that kid was getting pushed off.
Me too.
Roller coaster.
yeah.
She's gonna get boiled.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What?
Wow.
But even you think about the bath at the end with like the hot water.
Yeah.
Like the idea of tying the water into violence.
Yep.
With the all-white outfit. With the...
Well, that brings me back to
the
worst
button.
parts, and I did have splashy sex on the worst parts.
Flash and
Yeah.
specs.
Especially from the sink full of dirty dishes. Like, that's...
Yeah. Get that food residue on your face.
And smoking in restaurants.
Yep. Landlines. Let's do away with landlines. I'm glad they're...
Yeah. All right, I'm with you. Any other worst parts?
The tidy whities. The tidy whities he's wearing at the very beginning.
I was happy to see a fellow father who doesn't wear pants in the house because, you know.
Right there with you.
Yeah. I said that to him the other day, and he denied that he does that. So it's good to hear him admitting it now.
The police were here, so.
My worst part is flaunting your affair in public. Going to the park in your neighborhood with her, playing baseball, rustling on the ground.
Was he not worried that he was going to get caught?
No.
He has to expect he's going to run into one of the people from his law firm or one of their friends.
He clearly didn't.
Oh,
which was foolish. I mean, I was yelling at the screen the whole time. I'm like, you idiot. Now it's too late. Now, you're going to die now.
Him telling Alex, you knew the rules, and her turning around and saying, what rules? His stupid gaslighting. Ugh.
Yeah, you're right.
How was she supposed to know? You took her to dinner, and then you brought your dog over, and you went for a nice walk together, and went to the park. You had dinner at her house. They were not discreet. The whole time, anytime they did anything that was like flaunting it, I was like, this is not discreet. They're both liars.
Like going out salsa dancing right away. I'm sorry.
And then he's surprised that she reneges and that suddenly she's a problem in his life.
By the way, I don't like the idea of elevator sex either. I don't like holding other people up. There's going to be somebody waiting for that elevator. I think it's really rude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's fun to have sex in the elevator while it's moving. So you don't know when the door is going to open.
Well, you live on like the 100th floor, Matthew. You got lots of time.
Who said it was here and it wasn't in Moscow?
Right back to the Red Heat episode again.
Anyway, yeah, I don't like that because it reinforces my irrational fear that I can catch STDs from like public places, like touching elevator buttons, and I'm like, something dirty on here.
That is disgusting.
Ooh. When he calls Beth from Alex's house.
Oh,
gross.
That's when he should have got caught the first time.
Yes.
You should have gotten caught like 20 times
Like
over,
20
and
times.
Beth should have left his ass.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
Absolutely.
are so judgy.
No, I'm not judging
Okay.
somebody to have an relationship, but communicate it, because that guy, he wasn't communicating it until something had already gone serious.
He didn't admit it until it was just not achievable anymore to hide it.
I'm proud of my judginess. If you cheat on your wife, I'll come to your house and I'll stab you. I'll beat you up. You deserve it if you cheat on your wife. Or if you cheat on your husband. Whoever you cheat on, you deserve it.
Wow. Beware, Matthew.
Open relationships are all cool. I don't care. That's fine because you're not cheating. If you're cheating, you deserve to get beat up.
I'm old now. All I do is like cook and take the dog for walks. My life is so boring.
Matthew, have you ever said the line, "I love animals and I'm a great cook"? Because that's the line from this movie, right?
I mean, kind of contradicts both those points when she tries to boil a bunny.
I know. I think
This
they did
is
it on
true.
purpose. Any other favorite lines? Wasn't rife with good lines, that's for sure.
Oh, I've got a couple.
Okay.
At the beginning, when Ellen is repeating shit, 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 walking down the hall.
Good one.
Oh, and then the operator, when she's trying to get his number, and she's like, "Well, fuck you," and the operator says, "My place or yours?"
That's funny.
That was
That
good.
operator.
Also, I just wanted on the official record that I wouldn't actually ever stab anybody. Maybe just a punch. Maybe just a little punching. Just I would never actually stab someone. I don't think I could go through with that.
That's good to know.
That's good.
Oh, I know it's not a line, but because they didn't have any lines, the grandparents and their acting in the hospital, where you could tell that they were both just not having him being there.
The dad, that's great face
That was
acting,
good.
because I'm like, oh, he's gonna murder you.
Even the granny, like, where she's just like, "I am not getting up to hug you." Like, yeah, I am holding on to my grandchild, but like,
She looked very disapproving.
That's where I said if that was my daughter, I would actually like come over and strangle Dan.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I would have been in the parking lot, not in the room with my daughter,
Yeah.
pouring acid on his car. Okay, let's find out how this movie did. So, millennial co-host, do you think it did well? Just curious.
Yes. Because I've heard a lot
Yeah.
about this movie.
I think that's part of why I was so disappointed with it was because I've heard it hyped up for years.
Well, buckle up. According to Box Office Mojo's Worldwide, Fatal Attraction was the second highest earning movie at the box office in 1987.
God damn.
Fatal Attraction was only beat by Three Men and a Baby in this year. And it beat out a ton of good movies: Beverly Hills Cop 2, Lethal Weapon, Dirty Dancing, Predator. It also beat out two older Pure Gold favorite, Overboard.
how dare it beat out Dirty Dancing? How dare it?
Platoon was the Best Picture winner in this year. And, oh my God, this is so fascinating. The budget was $14 million, and you know it did well, but do you have any idea how well it did? $14 million budget.
200 million.
I was thinking like 255 million.
256.
You guys are
The price is right.
This was a $14 million budget. It did $320 million at the box office,
Aha!
which in today's dollars is $900 million. It did the equivalent of $900 million.
Yeah, it was a big film.
$1 billion.
Good.
So, did critics like it, and did audience like it? Give me your guess on
Can't
Rotten
believe I
Tomatoes.
successfully Price is Righted someone.
I think that yes, the audience probably liked it because the sex scene was up front in the movie.
I'm going to say critics are at 82, audience is at 72, because if I consider more recent audience, I think it's going to knock it down.
All right. Nicole?
Oh, I really agree with that because I was going to say like 85 critics and audience, I think more like 78. Like, I think it's a little higher than what you're saying, but I agree with the general tone of it.
Matthew, what do you got? You're our usual champ at this.
Critics 75. Audience, I'm going to go a little bit lower because of new people. 70.
Eric, can you nail this?
I'm gonna say critics really high 90s. I'm gonna say audience like 81 or 80, 81, 80 and a half.
Okay, so Emily, you nailed the audience with
Boom.
72, and the critics were 74. So I thought Emily was
Wow.
going to have an all-time low score because you got an 8, but Matthew swooped in at the last minute, and Matthew, you got a 3. That is the lowest.
Did I still win?
You won.
Good.
You beat Emily.
you.
Emily had the best score in podcast history until Matthew just kicked your ass.
Frankie says relax.
Fuck you.
So critics, 74 critics liked it and audience liked it.
I was just saying yesterday that you feel like family at this point, but I kind of want to vote you off the family island. Fuck you.
The family island. No, if it's a tropical island, I'll do everything I can to stay there. I need a tropical vacation.
It means next time Emily's on, you have to throw your Rotten Tomatoes scores.
As long as somebody puts money on it so I can get some cash out of it.
So this movie was, as far as awards go, this was nominated for Best Picture, but it lost.
It should get Best Acting.
Glenn Close was nominated for Best Leading Actress, but she lost to Cher for Moonstruck. Anne Archer was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, but she lost to Olivia Dukakis in Moonstruck.
Olympia.
And it was nominated for Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Editing, but it didn't win anything. But it is number 28 on American Film Institute's list of best thrillers of the last 100 years. Glenn Close, or Alex, I should say, is number 7 on the American Film Institute's list of all-time greatest villains. So even American Film Institute thinks she was the villain.
Boo.
Boo. She was just sick. It's not.
Yeah.
But okay, but wait. Okay, just let me play devil's advocate for a second, right? Because I do a true crime podcast as well, right? And we often have discussions about, mental illness versus being responsible, right? And if you think of it sort of another way, right? And I think this is why people sort of debate it, okay? Because just try to think of it at a different, pretend she's not mentally ill, right? Because the new ending, right? Think of it as she seduces Dan, infiltrates his life, terrorizes his wife and child, kills a pet, and stalks with surgical precision. It's not emotional chaos, it's premeditation. She weaponizes vulnerability to disguise her control tactics. The crying, the self-harm, the threats, all tools, not symptoms. She's out of control, and she's enjoying the power, right? So you can see her as a moral retribution figure as well. So, there's different ways of looking at it, right? I think in reality, I think because they changed the end, you guys are probably right. Like it was more of a mental illness thing, right? But because they changed that end, it created this, like, is she or isn't she? You know what I mean?
Well, may I give you some trivia?
Okay, the way she was, even in the end that they did use, the way she was standing there, not even realizing she was cutting her own leg while she was talking to her, no one in their right mind does that. She's very obviously sick throughout, and even though I don't like the way they portrayed her illness, it still was an illness. And if she went to court for these, she would not be convicted to a prison. She would be sent to a mental health prison.
No. There was a lot of the way you do this is premeditation, right? There was a lot of premeditation. She would have gone to jail.
But it also counts about whether or not she was mentally able to understand the gravity of her crimes, and she was not.
Well, but for somebody to be found not criminally responsible, it doesn't just have to do with whether they're unable to understand the full gravity of their crimes. Like, yes, that is part of it, but it has to also do with whether they recognize at the time of committing the crime, whether what they were doing was
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she did not think what she was doing was wrong. She thought she was just getting her man that she needed in her life. Like, she didn't think it was wrong.
So if this was switched around, exactly the same script, but Glenn Close was a male character and the other one is a female character, I think people would have different viewpoints on it if it was word for word the same script.
No, because I would still think he's mentally ill.
I agree with Nicole.
Well, maybe it's like the portrayal of reality versus like what the story actually portrayed in like the writer's intention or in the.
I'm actually just pissed off they changed the ending. It would have been such a better film, right? Because then there's clarity and it's much more emotional, actually, right?
It would have followed that Madame Butterfly foreshadowing, but I think it would have done it in a better way.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that comment. Okay, well, while we're talking about the mental illness, let me just give you this one piece of trivia I've been dying to read you. So, when Glenn Close finally secured the part of Alex, the first thing she did was take it to 2 different psychiatrists. So she took the original script before they changed the ending to 2 psychiatrists and asked them, is this behavior possible? And if so, why?
Interesting.
The psychiatrist reviewed the scripts and they both came to the same conclusion that Alex Forrest's behavior was classic behavior. Their diagnosis was that Alex had been molested and sexually tortured for an extended period of time when she was a child. As a result, any emotional pain that she might have experienced that is associated with sex would provoke an extremely violent response.
Interesting.
So she's a victim of trauma.
Wow.
I thought that was really interesting.
And that would come into play in her court case, and it would, the very minimum, greatly reduce her sentence.
Yeah.
You know what? A remake. Or no. Sequel. Let's get on to sequel in a minute.
Okay. Let me get through some trivia and reviews.
Well, as he cheats again.
No. It's his wife's revenge.
I'm in for
Trivia first. Glenn Close still has the knife. According to Glenn Close, people still come up to her and tell her, "Thanks, you saved my marriage." I don't really understand that.
What?
What?
I love that.
Eric?
Thanks. You saved my marriage because it showed my cheating bastard husband what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So someone gets you sit them down and force them to watch that movie?
I guess
That's brilliant.
I would say thanks for wrecking Easter forever.
I don't think anyone made the Easter connection except for Matthew.
Here comes Peter Cottontail.
I got 2 trivia notes on acting. First of all, Glenn Close, which I think we'll agree she did a great job.
She always does.
I just wanted a character that would demand more of me. I've never played a character who was supposed to be sexy. I knew I could do it. They were so sure I couldn't. They didn't even want me to read because they were embarrassed.
That's just weird. I don't understand that. I don't understand how somebody can't think Glenn Close is great looking and sexy. I don't know.
And then
Anyway.
another acting note. Do you remember this scene when the little girl was watching her parents fight and crying?
Yeah.
To get the desired reaction from the kid during the scene, Michael Douglas stood behind the camera and bullied her, threatening to take away the stuffed unicorn she was holding. He said, "Look at that stupid unicorn. I'm going to throw it in the garbage," which is why she begins crying and hugging it tighter.
And petting it.
After the director yelled cut, Douglas apologized to her and said, "I'm only kidding." In an interview, Douglas stated, "I felt pretty guilty, but you got to do what you got to do to get the
I
shot."
love that. That is hilarious.
That's horrible.
It's great.
That's child abuse.
I hope he bought her like a whole fucking barn's worth of unicorns. Like, what a dick.
I
That's
mean, so those
hilarious.
were authentic tears.
I thought it was great acting, so I guess it makes sense that it wasn't acting.
No, well, that makes sense. It came through.
Is that why she was crying later, too?
Yeah,
Did they boil a real rabbit, too?
Yeah, did they
authenticity.
kill her own real pet rabbit?
You know, my husband didn't watch this with me, and what I really wanted to do, I wanted to like watch a film with him and then serve rabbit that night.
Oh.
But he wouldn't watch it with me, so I didn't get to do that.
A few casting notes. So nearly 100 actresses were considered for Alex, and here's a couple that I thought were weird. Sally Field, and she turned it down because she didn't think her fans would like her taking this kind of character.
And she would have sucked at it.
She would have actually fit more into that, like,
But
cliche.
two of them I thought could have pulled it off. Jamie Lee Curtis and Sharon Stone were both considered.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis can pull off anything, though.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis.
I
and-
do, too.
Matthew, 80s Hollywood rumor here. Alex Forrest was originally named Sean Forrest in the script, generating rumors that it was based on Sean Young, who was an actress who was known, who had a reputation for strange behavior.
Yeah.
And she actually, they say, stalked James Woods after he dated her.
Wasn't that her dad's name in the newspaper clipping? It was something that started with an S. It was either Sean or Stanley.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
James Woods would have been a good choice in the place of Michael Douglas.
Yeah. Well, the one person who turned that role down was Christopher Reeve.
Oh,
Ooh.
that would have been interesting.
I think he could have pulled it off. Well, I have another one. The funniest one on the long list was O.J. Simpson was also considered for the role.
Oh, that's gross.
Which really makes the knife scene.
You know, the whole thing though with Sean Young is that that was like James Wood actually did too, but she was awarded legal costs out of settled out of court.
That.
She was awarded legal costs.
Huh,
yeah,
interesting. Okay, well, however you guys felt about this movie, I promise you there's others who liked it more or less than you. And for this movie, there were 47 10-star reviews out of 337 reviews. So I'm going to read you a couple. This movie does a great job of taking us on an increasingly escalating roller coaster ride. The movie never lets up on the suspense. It's a masterpiece worthy of being the same level as Hitchcock. Matthew, do you agree with that statement?
no,
Oh, don't put them in the same category as Hitchcock.
Hitchcock is like I love Hitchcock films.
Oh my god.
How about this one? Men, take notice. This could happen to you if you choose to have an affair. It's fair
Could
warning.
happen to anyone.
Could happen to anyone.
Monster movies have never scared me much, but when the monster is a flesh and blood psychopath, those are the movies that make me squirm in my chair. Psychos are way scarier than monsters.
True.
But he's the psychopath.
He is a
maintain
psychopath.
that.
Yeah.
Well, somebody else that disagrees with you said, I would have killed Alex in the first 20 minutes of this movie. That's harsh. And that's a 10-star review.
Well,
Wow.
that's concerning.
Holy shit.
Yeah, thanks, reviewers. Be careful. And now we hear from people who liked it less. So there were actually only 4 1-star reviews compared to the 47 10-star. But John M01 says, the whole thing is so stupid and unbelievable that it ends up being laughable. There's simply no reason given for Dan's infidelity, making what follows stupid. And what follows is one preposterous sequence after another.
Do you need a reason for infidelity?
The reason is that he's a bad man who cheats on his wife.
You don't need a reason for infidelity, but I still say that there was something not right with his marriage for him to go into this whole pretend relationship with her. It was more than a normal affair.
They set it up as like, you know, his life is comfortable, it's easy, it's repetitive, you know, he doesn't really get that much in the bed with, you know, with his wife, but then here comes this interesting woman. You know, it's kind of like it sets it up a little bit that way, but you know, he wants something easy and simple that disappears.
New and exciting, and she'll do things his wife won't do.
Right, and no commitment. It'll just disappear, and it'll be a one-night stand, and he'll never hear about it again.
Okay, how about this review? Last night I watched it again, and I'm shocked to see how the director portrayed a helpless woman, Alex, in such a sinister way. If it was fiction, it would have been just fine, but the story has roots in our society. I believe everyone in their heart agrees that men cannot go and have what they want from a woman and then just forget about it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me.
And last review on this Easter episode. Boiling a child's pet rabbit and shooting a pregnant woman is not entertainment for me. Sorry, I hated this movie as a teen. I hate it as an adult.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's ask the professionals, Siskel and Ebert. And the first note I have is Matthew, Dan's friend Jimmy in the movie looks exactly like Ebert. Doesn't he?
Yeah, not exactly, but very close.
Okay, so Siskel was smiling when he talked about the movie, so he obviously liked it. He said the script was great, Emily, because unlike many thrillers, he said the Dan character had very logical reactions to every situation. He said it was actually a monster movie, but much smarter.
Who the fuck is he hanging out with? To think that these are logical, like, excuse you?
And he's hanging out with Ebert or Siskel.
Well, Ebert said that up until the last half hour, he was thinking Oscar. He called it psychologically convincing, but said he felt cheated by the ending. So Ebert gave it a thumbs down because of the ending, and he seemed angry about it. Siskel said he was being too severe with that review, and he gave it a thumbs up.
Siskel can go fuck himself.
I remembered a quote that I liked.
Oh, give us the quote.
She was undressing me with her eyes, but she had trouble with the buttons.
Oh my God.
It was so stupid.
Okay. So now I want to ask you, does this movie deserve a remake, prequel, or sequel?
Nah.
No.
It didn't deserve shit.
What if they did a sequel and she didn't actually die and then it's the court case?
That might be interesting.
Yeah.
As long as the sequel is kind of like, give Alex some justice here and show the cheating douchebag he is, because you know he's gonna cheat again.
Do they hook up again?
No.
No, he wouldn't.
No. But he will cheat again.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't like his women crazy.
Right.
That's what I imagine he would say. I felt even gross just saying it.
Better vetting process.
On remake, in 2023, Paramount Plus released a TV series adaptation of the movie.
I'm kind of curious to watch it, but I'm kind of not.
So, like, spread it out over 10 episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Higher rabbit budget than the movie.
Yeah.
Every episode they boil a different pet.
I mean, they would have a possibility of actually giving the characters a bit more nuance over a series.
Okay, but the lead actress in that show, in the remake show, is the girl from Mean Girls, the like alternative friend, Janice.
Oh, was it Lizzie Kaplan?
I can't see her as anything but Mean Girls.
No, like you need to see her in other things, but she is like actually she's pretty fantastic.
I mean, she is, but
I've never seen Mean Girls.
What?
Matthew, you're a disgrace to the gays.
Hey,
How
I'm
could you?
a different generation. I saw Heathers, which is the proto Mean Girls, but better from what I
You
hear.
need to see Mean Girls.
Disgrace to the gays, Matthew. You have to watch it. I'm taking your gay card.
Gay card.
Even my 65-year-old teacher has seen it.
I've never seen Mean Girls.
I can't believe you.
Is Alicia Silverstone in that?
No. You're thinking about Clueless. You've seen Clueless, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure.
I don't know if he has.
He looks clueless.
Is that woman from Legally Blonde in it?
No, Reese Witherspoon is not in it.
Okay, because all those three movies seem like it's the same movie to me.
Amy Poehler's in it as well, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually interesting.
I can't believe you. You gotta watch it. I'm gonna make you watch it.
Okay. Let's get this back on this movie.
Okay, sorry.
No. Let's talk about Mean Girls some more.
Is this movie too old or pure gold? That's how we end this.
Pure gold.
Too old.
Too old.
Too old.
I'm giving it a pure gold. I actually thought it was good. I thought it was an interesting film.
Boo.
Generational divide.
Hey, no shaming.
A little bit of shaming. Just a little bit.
Well,
I can't wait. I'm seeing my best friend today, and I'm going to make her tell me why she loves this movie so much.
And then tear it to shreds.
Oh, I will.
Clef, Seeley, you want to tell us about your new album that just came out and tell people where to find it? And I will tell people it's a cheap way to support musicians.
Well, hey, you know what? Damn, thank you. That's a good plug. Yeah, the album is out on Bandcamp, but also by the time this comes out, the album will be out on all the streaming as well. So if you want to go and support me, you can go to the Bandcamp. You can buy the album, but you can also just listen to the album in all the places. Clef, Seeley, Left Coast is the album. It sounds great.
So good.
I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out really well.
Thank you so much.
And Emily, thanks for joining us on this episode. You always bring great insights. This was a fun one.
I love being on Emily
And
episodes.
while you're listening to Clef's new album, you can kick back and smoke some uncommon cannabis.
Ooh.
Available in Alberta, Ontario, and soon Quebec, and soon New Brunswick.
Wow.
And don't leave your dog overnight.
No, it's just
Awful.
yeah.
That was the worst crime.
That's the worst crime in this movie.
I feel like having some rabbit tonight for dinner.
Oh, and happy Easter to our listeners.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy
Bye, y'all.
Easter.
Bye.
Bye.